Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movies, TV and online content and help you answer the question, isn't it nice when the right thing wins? I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Joining me today is Dylan Blight.
Yes, it is, Ashley Hobley.
It is. And then that's it. It's just the two of this week.
That's fine.
It's fine. We got a bit to cover. We'll talk about what's in our watch history. We'll be reviewing the 92nd Annual Academy Awards, and we'll be talking about the movie that we ended up watching, the Academy Award-winning Parasite. A movie that a movie we decided on before the Academy Awards happened. But it is a nice coincidence that it did so well. But let's jump into what's in our watch history. Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn came out this week. We put up a review discussion over at youtube.com/Explosion Network, and you can find our spoiler discussion on this podcast feed. But Dylan, for people who don't want to go check those things out, what are your thoughts on Birds of Prey?
A very highly surprising and fun entry into DC's comic book films that is disappointingly doing bad at the box office.
Yeah. Why do you think it's an interesting discussion. Why do you think it is doing poorly? It did 33 million over the weekend in the US, which is down from pretty much everything else. They range from about 58 million to 118, I believe, off the top of my head. Do you think it's just because it is a sequel to Suicide Squad, which was received so poorly, or is it a marketing problem, or is it just there's a bunch of sexists who won't go see a movie about females?
I think it's actually a lot of the latter, because Suicide Squad did really well, like money-wise, and people really liked Harley. Well, the people that liked Suicide Squad really liked Harley, right? But then there's been a lot of everyone hating the look of this movie from the outside and saying like to the point where the Suicide Squad fans don't like the look of this, and the people that didn't like Suicide Squad also don't like the look of this from the trailers. So it was like, who is the audience for? You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's like they didn't market it very well either, I guess, is the biggest problem there. They relied on an audience that wasn't going to go see it. And I guess that audience was the Suicide Squad fans, but they didn't care for it. They needed to market it towards the Shazam people and Wonder Woman fans. You know, like the DC fans that are watching those movies. Like, come back, watch this one. Even though you didn't like Suicide Squad, this one's good.
Yeah. So I had a great time with the film. I think really enjoyed it. But yeah, I think the marketing has let it down a bit. I think the title may be a thing. Maybe they should have just called it Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. Like, stick her more front and center, obviously. Well, even more front and center, I guess. She's been like the face of all the marketing, so why not put her name first if you're going that far? Just to even get the casual fans or someone who's walking into the cinema sees Harley Quinn on the board, on the piece of paper, says, oh, I'll go watch that movie.
Yeah, I think they should have just called it Harley Quinn something. Would have made more sense, especially after watching the movie, and it's basically a Harley Quinn movie anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what week 2 numbers are like. Is it going to hold steady, or is it going to be sharp decline, or whether word of mouth does something pretty very well?
Yeah, word of mouth is kind of spreading over the weekend. Everyone's seeing it, obviously. So I'm hoping it'll see a slight spike, or even if not a slight spike, then like even an even, you know what I mean? Like not a decline would be a good second week, as long as it's like sort of around the same, I guess.
Yeah, as long as it stays steady for a while.
But the other thing worth of note is that film's budget isn't as high as all the other comic book movies.
It is very low.
It's like 60, I think, compared to like 120 mil that most have or something like that. So it's literally like half.
And again, that number was domestic total, so I didn't include the global. I don't know what the global numbers over the weekend were. So they might have already made their money back, and probably will, including merchandising and everything,
Yeah, exactly. So I think although the numbers, like its numbers box office are low when compared to other comic book movies and other DC movies, I think the narrative going forward needs to take into account that its budget was also like half of the rest of those movies. So it's instead of people taking it out to be like a massive failure, I don't think it will be a massive failure simply because its budget wasn't actually as high.
Yeah. Do you see... We obviously talked about the potential Birds of Prey spin-off or sequel during our spoiler discussion. Do you think this numbers hurt or hinder? Will we actually get a Birds of Prey 2 sequel?
Yeah, I reckon, because Margot Robbie's like a producer on all these now, so I feel like she's got enough power with her production company, with as long as it's not a massive failure, which it isn't, to push through for a sequel anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like it would have to be a massive bomb for it not to go through.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely see a second one coming, but yeah, it was disappointing to see those numbers and see them so low. But I guess February is a weird month for a movie to be released as well. Yeah, there's a bunch of interesting facts.
Though?
I don't know. February seemed to be like in yesteryear, it used to be like a dump month where they used to put all the stuff they didn't think was going to do very well.
This good time to release movies thing. I think that used to be a thing, obviously. I really don't think it is anymore. I don't think it makes any difference, really. Apart from, like, kids' movies releasing in school holidays or something for targeted marketing there. I really don't think it makes any difference. Unless you're in the States where you got the summer blockbuster period, I guess.
Yeah. So I was fortunate enough to see The Lighthouse, the new film by Roger Ebert starring Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. I got a review up at explosionnetwork.com. I believe I wrote something along the lines of, it is from a filmmaking point of standard, it's amazing, it's really something special, but I did not have a good time watching this movie. It is slow, it's a slog, it makes you feel very, very uncomfortable. It's about two lighthouse keepers who are going on is Robert Pattinson's character is going like a 4-week stint. This is his first time, and things go awry, and they start to slightly lose their sanity, I guess, over the period of however long they've each got secrets and different things. It's shot interestingly. It's obviously shot in black and white with a smaller aspect ratio, which means it takes up a bit less of the screen, which was interesting, especially because they still screen the rest of the screen in like black. You know, they still project the rest of the screen. So on some certain shots, like, it would look widescreen because it's just happened the edges of the thing were black as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Willem Dafoe, Robin Pattinson, amazing performances. Cinematography, which was up for an Oscar, incredible. The music is really good. It works for the film, but it is not a film I want to watch again anytime soon or have any interest in watching again anytime soon. But I feel like it was a good film to have experienced, and I'm guessing based on other people's reviews and things that other people will like it more than obviously I did. Yeah.
Now, I haven't seen this movie.
Yes.
I really do want to see it, obviously. But I not to call you out on air, but let's talk about your review.
Yes.
Dear listeners, anyone listening to this, say in your head what score you think Ash would have given it. Ready? You got that number? All right, good. Hold on to that. Ash, what'd you give this movie?
7.5.
Do you think you gave it too high a score?
I mean, just because I did... I can appreciate all the elements that obviously make it up.
Now.
I mean, it's like what's that, what's his name movie?
You've narrowed
just
it
like
down.
Darren Aronofsky, the one with the...
Black Swan?
No.
Pie?
No.
Mother?
No.
The Wrestler?
Definitely not.
Requiem for a Dream?
Requiem for a Dream. That is a good movie. It's not one you want to watch anytime soon. It's not like one you want to flick on a Saturday night and sit and enjoy. It makes you feel certain things. It's very well made, but it's not something you enjoy, which is what The Lighthouse is for me.
But I guess it's like when I talk about Mother, where I'm like, obviously I thought Mother was a really good movie, and I would say that I didn't enjoy. I would say I didn't enjoy the experience because that was the point, but I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy the movie because that sounds like I didn't like it.
That's what
obviously.
I'm saying. I didn't
You know
enjoy
what I
the
mean?
experience.
Yeah,
I can appreciate.
I guess
the
it comes
movie.
down to. I guess it comes down to wording because if you're like I didn't like it, then it's like well you didn't like it.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I said I don't want to watch it anytime soon. I didn't ever enjoy it. Yeah.
That's fine. I've only watched Mother once, and I probably will never watch it again. But I still gave it like a 9 or some shit.
Yes.
You know,
So maybe I gave it too low a score. Is what you're saying?
No, I thought you gave it too high based on what you was just saying.
No.
Like I didn't. I didn't enjoy it. And this.
It's everything is well done. It's just, yeah, it just makes you feel bad, awkward. Like I think I said in my review, and Buddy mentioned to me because I went to the screening with Mr. Buddy Watson. Find him, Buddy Watson 12. I'm sure I'll bring him up later. The person sitting next to him was checking her phone several times throughout the screening, just because obviously it was so
me this.
awkward, and obviously it's a very slow movie.
Which I want to call that out because what a load of bullshit if you go to a preview screening,
a media screening,
it's a media screening where it's either journalists or content creators or whatever a mix. And I'm gonna I'm gonna shove it under the bus. I'm guessing the person checking their phones a fucking YouTuber or some shit.
I'd say it's probably the partner of somebody, or like they're the plus one.
Why'd you bring him? Fuck off.
They didn't.
Jesus
maybe
Christ.
they didn't know. They thought it was going to be a cool rom-com about William Dafoe and Robin Pattinson falling in love.
From the guy that brought you Witch.
The Witch.
Please come watch The Lighthouse. It definitely will be a fucking great Adam Sandler movie. Jesus Christ. Even if you are bored in a movie, don't check your phone. Leave.
Yeah.
Cinema etiquette. Leave the cinema. Shit me off.
Yeah. All right. I saw that you finally got a chance to watch a movie that you've been anticipating for a long time. 3 from Hell, the sequel to
Devil's Rejects.
Devil's Rejects. That's the one, the Rob Zombie movie.
You got it.
House of 100,000 Corpses.
House of 1,000 Corpses is the first one, of course. Now, we watched Devil's Rejects on here one week. You was a big fan.
Yep.
So
I watched it.
I'm surprised you haven't watched it.
You can check out a discussion on episode 33. Of what
did you just look that up fast, or did you just randomly?
Yeah, I do have a list.
Oh, Jesus. So this movie is interesting because, of course, spoilers for the end of Devil's Rejects. They all seemingly die. Now, this movie does exactly what I thought they would do because I just thought it was the easiest explanation, which is the movie opens with them somehow seemingly being brought into hospitals with like all these bullet wounds and news reports saying there's no chance they'll survive, but of course they somehow survive. And then the first half of this movie is quite good, and then the last, well, I'd say like the first 2/3 are quite good, and then the last third is not good and kind of, I wouldn't say ruin it, but definitely like just makes it be like and I would rank this one as the least interesting of the trilogy, but I still enjoyed it because I got to see some of my favorite horror characters obviously back on screen, because you got Show Zombie returns as Baby, and you got Bill Moseley returning as Otis Driftwood. Sid Haig is back as Captain Spaulding for a scene before his character is killed off early in the movie, and that's basically because in real life Sid Haig's health was declining when they were filming this, and of course he passed away late, or like mid-ish or late, I can't remember, mid-ish or late last year. The Oscars never brought him up in their memoriam, so fuck them. Bring that up now. But so then they introduce this other character who basically the plot of the movie becomes, of course, break out of prison, and they introduce Richard Brake comes in as Winslow Foxworth Coltrane, who's this he's the brother. It's like another brother of Baby and Otis, another brother of the whole family. So then whole prison escape sequence is put in motion at the start, and that's the most interesting part of the movie because you just get to see a lot of scenes of the characters being there psychotic selves, and that's all a lot of fun. And then by the time you get to the last third of the movie, it's kind of just like Devil's Rejects repeat, kind of, but not as good and not as epic and not as eventful. And the way the movie ends, I'm like, what was even it just made me like, what is even the point of bringing these characters back and doing a third one if that's the way you're going to end it? Like, it was just kind of non-eventful for me, but I enjoyed it for what it is. And most of the people who are going to watch this are fans of obviously going to be fans of the other one anyway. And I don't feel like anyone's going to love this if they're a fan of Devil's Rejects. You're either going to walk away like me and be like, whatever, or you're just going to be like, the worst. What a waste of my time. But yeah, I would rank it at the bottom of the trilogy.
Cool. So I watched the first 2 episodes of the new Amazon series / CBS series, Picard? Captain Picard from Star Trek.
Picard?
Yeah, Picard.
Why are you struggling to say Picard? It's Picard. Picard. What are you, Pikachu? Picard.
Well, they all pronounce it. No, I have clearly, based on my reciting of people's names, I did not watch Star Trek Next Generation. So I have no history. It's fine. It seems like a good Star Trek series. Picard,
Star Wars.
Yeah. You don't know, they could be in the same universe. Star Wars was a long time ago.
Well, live long and prosper.
Yeah. Certain events have happened. I don't know if they were from the series or things that they've set after the series ended.
I believe they're from the movies they did after the series.
Yeah, it could be the movies after. But they introduced an interesting plot that Picard has to follow this season. So it's just going to be one of those things that I think I'm going to watch while I'm doing something else and enjoy as it comes out each week. So Patrick Stewart is obviously very good, and he meets characters that I assume are characters from Star Trek Generation and the franchise. So, if you're a fan of Star Trek, especially his run as Picard, I think you'll have a good time. So, that's that. Brooklyn Nine-Nine came back. Still really good. I think they dropped the first 2 episodes. Still a great show. Interesting switch in dynamic because obviously at the end of last season, Captain Holt got demoted because he didn't serve as a street cop for a year as you're supposed to before you get promoted to detective. So at the end of last season, he got demoted to a street cop, and that's what he has to do for the next year before he can become a captain again. So now the dynamics change where everybody else, all the squad is
above
higher
him?
ranking. Yeah.
Mm.
So, and he's struggling with that, obviously. And then, I think they're going to have a slew of different people coming in to fill the captaincy role in his absence, at least based on this first couple episodes. Or maybe Terry's going to be taking over. Yeah, I had a good time. It's more Brooklyn Nine-Nine is still fun. Looking forward to this next episode. Also want to shout out, they did a podcast called the Brooklyn Nine-Nine Podcast, also hosted by Mark Evan Jackson, who does the Good Players podcast. I think they just dropped 6 random episodes, but they're really informative and interesting, and to get the banking of the show and that kind of thing. So if you're into Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that's worth checking out as well. So we had the season finale of Arrow. It was fine. It was enjoyable. It's interesting. Obviously, after the end of Crisis, they did a backdoor pilot for Green Arrow and the Canaries, which will probably get picked up, in which they have his future daughter with the 2 Canaries in the future. But then they had Ollie's funeral, and because they changed everything during Crisis, people are still alive, and he made his life universe better. His mother's still alive. His buddy is still his Tommy still alive from all the way back season 1. And it was just a nice stroll down memory lane. They cut back to early in his career so they could have a fight scene with him. Obviously, he can be included in the episode. One of the best fight scenes of maybe the series. It's pretty great. But it kind of rewrites the history, where in iteration, he wasn't killing people from the first couple of seasons.
Oh.
But yeah, it's good. There was some cool moments. Obviously, if you've been on the internet, you saw at the end, one John Diggle got a magical green ring at the end of the episode. And they had a really nice Elicity moment at the end. So yeah, I think everyone kind of went away happy with that ending to the flagship CW show that birthed the Arrowverse. Yeah, it was a nice ending. Lots of cameos and that kind of stuff. So yeah. Let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. Dylan, you watched Uncut Gems, the Adam Sandler movie directed by the Safdie brothers. Obviously, it'd been built up a lot prior to it being released on Netflix. Released on with A24 in America, but Netflix was the initial distributor internationally. Adam Sandler picked up in Indie Film Spirit Award over the weekend. Best Actor. Is it deserving?
Yeah. I mean, I like if he was at the Academy, I would have picked someone else over him. But I think he should have still been nominated. But
yep.
Like him winning that award wasn't like, oh my god, what a shocker. Yeah, he's really good in it. He basically becomes the character. He kind of disappears outside of the Adam Sandler thing you don't know. The movie is one of the tensest fucking things I've watched in a very, very long time, and I'm comparing it to Whiplash. Is how I'm going to go about comparing it for people who've seen Whiplash, which I also consider like one of the tensest things I've ever watched. Whiplash is the I'm mental blanking on the director's name. I should know it's fucking La La Land. Damien Chazelle.
Yes.
Damien Chazelle's movie with J.K. Simmons as the drama. And that's my thing, because I always say that movie's like so tense. It's like, well, it's not a horror movie. I'm like, no, I know, but it's still tense as all fuck. Uncut Gems isn't a horror movie, but it's just like, it's similarly tense where it's just like, the characters and just there's so much stuff happening, it becomes fucking insane. And I really don't know how the Safdie brothers wrote this script and managed to direct it the way they did, because it's, in case you don't know what the plot is, it's literally just like Adam Sandler's character owes people money, and the whole movie kind of follows his character for a couple days as he makes bets, wins bets, and then uses that money to make more bets instead of just solving his problems, because he's like trying to pay off everyone, but at the same time make this big score. And a lot of it revolves around him having this diamond, and it's just like it gives you a brain fucking aneurysm while you're like watching him do these horrible decisions, and it's just like really stressful because you just want to like turn the movie off and be like, it's nearly an entire movie of that awkward. Like when someone does something awkward in a movie and you kind of don't want to watch, like it's that, but that's the entire movie. It's like, please, I don't like watching this. It's making me feel uncomfortable and weird. But it's also just like, I don't know how it's got this whole tone about it where, like, especially when they're in the jewel store, of which Adam Sandler's character owns and runs this jewelry, what do you call it? Like I don't know the proper name for it anyway, but jewelry place or whatever. And when you have people in there, when he's in there, there's so many people talking at the same time, but it kind of comes off like amateurish, like the way the sound mixing is done, but it's done on purpose to give it this kind of gritty, realistic, like I guess documentary type feel, where it's just like everyone's just kind of having their own conversations, which is actually more natural instead of everyone kind of being quieter in the background while we focus on Adam Sandler and his conversation, but you can kind of hear everyone's conversations happening at the same time. But it's like the movie's a lot of that, and that also adds to it just being constantly really fucking tense and whatever else, because people are always just talking and yelling, and I'm just like, can we just shush and slow down, and how about we go on a lunch break and let's just stop getting into arguments and everything else is going on. But it's also the Safdie brothers. They talked about how they've had the script for like 10 years, and you can 100% tell, like, because we watched it on here, obviously, whatever episode we talked about Good Time on, the Robert Pattinson one, as Ash looks for his handy dandy list over there.
Episode 34.
There you go. We're talking about Good Time, which is similar to this in that it's obviously a movie where it's like a character making bad decisions in the ultimate goal of like pulling off something to like save in that film he's trying to save his brother's life, but also like come out on top in the end and whatever else. And that movie's similar, where it's like just go go go, and it's just like, oh, this is that. You can tell that movie's like they've taken stuff from that movie and movies they've done before, and like Uncut Gems is the ultimate like just adrenaline rush uncomfortable fucking movie, and it's kind of, you can tell it's this thing they've been working towards for a long time. So it's really good, really, really good. However, I was so uncomfortable and amped by the end of it, I couldn't go straight to sleep because it's just edge of seat. Anxiety attack inducing movie, but it's definitely worth watching.
Cool. So that you also watched Goldman and Silverman, a short film starring Adam Sandler.
Yeah, that's nothing special. It's fun to watch. If you, it's on, I don't remember where I watched it. Wherever I watched it, it was just, I think it was Vimeo or some shit. It's like 6 minutes long. It's literally Adam Sandler like dressed up as a gold statue, and then I think it's Benny Safdie, the one who was also in Good Time. He like dresses up as this silver statue, and then they're like in New York Times Square, and then they start like having a little bit of a robot fight and stuff like that. That's the short. They I think, I don't know how they filmed it or whatever, if they had money left over after Uncut Gems and they're like, hey, do you want to make a short as well? like do you want to pump this out on the side or whatever? But yeah, if you can track it down, it's fun 6 minute watch, but it's not going to win any Oscars come next year for best short film, because it did come out earlier this year, not last year. So
yeah. I saw that you also, you have watched the upcoming season of Narcos Mexico that gets released later today of release. What do you think of season 2 of Narcos Mexico?
I haven't decided on my score as of recording, but I'm probably thinking around a 7 or something like that. I think it's the weakest season of Narcos, but I still enjoyed watching it. And I'm comparing that to like the first 3 seasons of Narcos plus the first season of Narcos Mexico, because we're technically up to our 5th season of Narcos in total now. But it's like, they lose a lot of the characters that were the most enjoyable to watch, were either killed or aren't in the second season because they've like disappeared they're not involved with the character story anymore. And it's like a lot of, it's that thing where you lose a lot of the key pieces, and then I feel like they're taken away, and then you realize like how important those people were to adding like fun to scenes and like holding the main character down and like being charismatic and whatever else. And then they bring in this new character. Oh, fuck, what's his name? Scoot McNairy. Yeah, that's right. Scoot McNairy comes in as this head DA agent in the second season here, and I didn't find him particularly interesting or fun. And he's the replacement for Michael Pena's character in the first season, who, spoilers, dies at the end of the first season. And Michael Pena's character was really good, and it was really great to see Michael Pena do something that was, like a serious role, because he usually does comedy stuff, I guess, for the most part, is what anyone thinks from him. So I enjoyed watching him in that. I know he's done like other stuff, of course, End of Watch or whatever, but yeah, it's like it loses a couple of the key pieces. Diego Luna's really good and evil as Miguel Angel. I can't remember his full fucking name. He's really good as the main guy still, but I'm more looking forward to where Narcos goes next, because they should be now getting up to the period where they can start telling the uprise of El Chapo, who of course is the most recent Mexican crime boss, who was only caught last year, I think, or like late 2018.
Isn't he the one who gets constantly caught and just keeps escaping?
Yeah, he escapes all the time, but they officially got him like last year or whatever. He escaped several times before. Like, and by escaped, I mean like his people would dig tunnels like miles and miles away from the prisons and like dig underground and come up and get him. So it's funny though, because Netflix already has a series that they did like 3 seasons of called El Chapo, and that was a Netflix produced series. So it's funny how if they're now getting to the point where they're going to have to do like El Chapo's story but within Narcos, but it would be in competition to their other series that's literally just always been about El Chapo. But yeah,
who cares?
I mean,
competition with yourself is still more content for yourself,
I guess. Yeah. I never watched the El Chapo series on Netflix solely because even back when Narcos season 1 was happening, because I'm like, well, eventually Narcos will get up to him. Like, we're going to get there eventually. So I never bothered watching it. And now we're getting to that, which I'm really looking forward to, because the guy who plays him in the show does like such a good job. And I'm really intrigued to see how he goes from like, because in Narcos at the moment, he's like, he's an up and comer or whatever. Like, he doesn't have like the the boiled hard ass. You know, I can't picture him fully as like the head of the cartel, but I'm interested to see how they get there. Yeah. Anyway, it's like if you don't watch Narcos yet, then you're obviously not going to watch this. But my pitch is, if you're interested in like the history of the drug trade through like Mexico to American stuff, that's what Narcos is all about. So they're all good to watch if that's what interests you.
Cool. So Lock and Key came out. We did a review discussion on youtube.com/Explosion Network. We did a spoiler discussion here on this podcast feed. But for people who don't want to go listen to those, what did you think of the first season of Lock and Key? And what is Lock and Key?
I'm going to be honest. I was going to say the funniest thing is when you was just like, Lock and Key came out, I'm like, holy fuck, that was only last week. I feel like I watched it like a month ago. So Lock and Key is based on this Joe Hill comic book about what was the easiest pitch for this? It's like three kids whose dad just died, moved to their family house, doing the whole story of like, oh, family members die, let's get a fresh start, different town kind of thing. They arrive at their big family house, which was their father's, with their mother. And they move in, and in the house they start discovering magical keys which do different assortment of effects. The best one example is you can put a key in your back of your neck and you can enter your own mind and like watch your own memories and do all sorts of stuff, and other one lets you turn into a ghost. It's just a whole bunch of supernatural magical stuff, and of course there's a big bad demon lady. She's after him, and the kids got to fight back against the demon lady. There, that's a good pitch, isn't it? That's a good
yeah, sure,
good explanation of the show. Yeah, I thought it was okay. I think it should have been a couple episodes shorter, or they should have used their time differently for the episodes they had, and they made, in my opinion, poor choices with which characters to kind of focus on at different points and stuff. But overall, it's fun. I enjoyed the cast. I enjoyed the general story. I like the general setup. I'm looking forward to season 2. I'd like to go read the comics because I've never read any of them apart from like the first issue. So, but yeah, I think this will be a big hit for Netflix this year. I feel like a lot of people are going to like it more than I did personally. And I think that's what I've seen so far. A lot of people seem happy with it. So, and that's good because it feels like Netflix has put a fair bit of hope and dreams into this being a big series, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure. At the moment, the user score on Metacritic is sitting as a 5.9. So,
Jesus.
Yeah, but that just might be people. I think the comics were maybe a bit more leaning towards the horror elements, where this is probably playing a bit more to a family-friendly audience. So they might just be upset that that's the tone they've decided to go to in. Yeah, I really enjoyed the show. My review is up at explosionnetwork.com as well. If you're more keen on reading than listening to more content. Yeah, I think the family dynamic's really good. The kids are really good. The keys are all pretty interesting. There's some stellar storylines within the season. Some that aren't as interesting, some that don't get enough room to breathe. Just quickly resolved within one episode. But yeah, I'm also keen for season 2. I think it is like... I think in my mind I compared it a little bit to the series of Unfortunate Events, which was another family-friendly-esque series, but maybe not in the same exact tone because that was a bit more dark, black comedy. But that kind of family-friendly, kids against common enemy kind of story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of fills that void. So definitely something worth checking out. So 2 series that ended the last couple of weeks. BoJack Horseman had its last part of its final season. Fantastic series, still brilliant animation. As I suspected, everything goes to shit for BoJack Horseman. All his past mistakes come back to bite him. And it's kind of sad, but kind of fitting that he's kind of has this downfall. It's kind of more heartbreaking that you get this little bit of a high. You think he's finally in a good place where he's stopped being a bad person. I guess it raises the question if can you ever outlive your past, or is what your past actions always going to be part of who you are? Can you ever be forgiven for your past actions? That kind of stuff, which I guess is super relevant at this kind of time. And it was just a very sweet ending, I guess. The way it wraps itself up, again, beautifully animated. Really interesting few episodes, and like a lot of the supporting cast gets their own interesting, satisfying arcs and endings as well. So, if you haven't watched BoJack Horseman, there's 6 seasons worth of content there worth watching. It's one of the best animated shows, at least of this century. So, that's worth checking out.
This century, holy.
Yeah, well, there's only 20 years in this century, so.
Oh, jeez.
I think that's a pretty safe saying.
Not this decade. Just go.
No, I'm gonna say this of the last 20 years.
Just okay.
Yeah. And then The Good Place had its finale recently as well. You haven't watched the last few episodes, have you, Dylan?
No.
Okay.
No. Disappointing.
Yeah, it is super disappointing that it is finished because it is.
Sorry to let the team down.
It is one of the best shows, one of the best comedies of the last few years. It wraps up on a beautiful note perfectly, with some fun surprises and that kind of thing. I don't want to get too much into details because obviously there's anything you say too much about it is spoilers. But if you haven't watched The Good Place and you've listened to this podcast, I don't know why you haven't watched The Good Place, but you should watch The Good Place. It's all there. Easier to binge. It's only 4 seasons. I think it's only 52 episodes off the top of my head. It is.
Your example of easy to binge is always fun. People listen to this. They're like, 52 episodes? What are you talking about?
What? People binge watch like The Office and Friends every 3 weeks. Watching.
Really?
Yeah. Well, they constantly rewatch Friends and stuff like that. People if you just watch one a week, you'll be done with the series in 1 year. So that's not, that's not too bad.
That's a better way to pitch it, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Perfect ending to the series. Very sad it ended. Lots of it maybe the last episode wasn't as funny as maybe some of the other episodes are, but it hits you right in the feels, and it feels very, very satisfying. So yeah, that's everything that's been in our watch history. But there was one thing else that we watched that we're going to talk about kind of in depth. The 92nd Academy Awards, hosted by no one. I guess we start at the top. The big headliner, Parasite.
Now we're here.
The big winner, Parasite, big winner of the night, went 4 for 4. First foreign language film to win Best Picture in 92 years. Can you believe it?
I do, because I was watching it live.
I mean, there's still time for them to say they got the wrong envelope.
No, I was waiting. I was like, please don't.
Please don't, Jane Fonda.
Yeah, please don't, Jane Fonda. There was a second where they cut back to her. I think they cut to her because they was like waiting for her to wrap up the show, but she was like clapping or some shit instead.
Yes.
So the camera cut to her for a hot second, and I was like, wait, what's going on? Because then it cut back to the crowd or some shit, and I was like, whoa.
They wanted to let somebody else speak. Thank God.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on? Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess going in, those of us who had seen the movie prior were secretly hoping that it would win, but didn't have a lot of hope, I guess. There's been articles going around saying that subtitle films can't win, and it's got to be an American film and that kind of thing. But as the night progressed and it kept picking up awards, I think everybody's hopes got higher and higher, and seeing people's reactions to the movie winning, especially given last year, where I assume everybody had the opposite response. Parasite winning it was just right, and it just felt good.
Yeah, it's obviously I was quite. I think the only one everyone expected to win was best international film. That was like the lock. That was I felt. Yeah, that was the given, and after that, no one really thought it was going to win anything else because Oscars. But yeah, it's like I feel like it winning Best Picture just solidifies, like wraps up my whole feelings for the show in general, which is that I was like highly surprised by like a lot of the stuff that won, and like I pretty much walked away but being like, oh wow, and I got lots of my predictions wrong, obviously, which we'll get to, but at the same time I was happy to get them wrong because they were making up for all their wrongdoings last year. But this is what gets me. I really don't understand how what changes where the same people that voted for Green Book can then the next year vote for Parasite. It does not seem like it would be the same voting crowd. you know?
Well, again, I'm pretty sure it's like a preferential. Like you vote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So as your things get knocked off, it gets your preferences go to certain films. So it could just be that certain people like
like an election,
like second or third, and just happen to win because the other things knock themselves out, split the vote too much.
Yeah, but I tell you what, when they read it out, I was like, "What?" Like I was legit shocked. I really did not think it would win. Even after all the weird stuff that happened throughout the rest of the night, when it won Best Picture, I was still like, "What the like? How fucking weird is that?" Like, and it's been quite good, obviously, to see lots of people celebrating it on Twitter, but then also seeing lots of people act like fuckheads and being owned for it on Twitter. So that's been great to see as well. Nice mix of stuff there.
Yeah. I guess it also picked up Bong Joon-ho won Best Director. He gave a great speech, or great translated speech. Thank you. Giving props to Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese, and also saying nice things.
Yeah, I love that.
Sam Mendes and Todd Phillips, but yeah.
Yeah, well, at the end, I was like, oh, Sam Mendes and Todd Phillips. Yeah, good for you. But I liked how, that was great how he like starts saying this thing that he was taught in film school or whatever. And he's like, this saying, blah, 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 says it. And then it's like, pause. And that saying was from Martin Scorsese. Everyone stands up, gives like Martin Scorsese a clap. And then he like goes, like points over at Quentin, thanks Quentin for putting his films in his cinemas.
Just talking about it constantly.
Just talking about it constantly and whatever else.
Anytime he provide a list, he said like, Parasite or Bong Joon-ho films. So.
Yeah. So that was good to see. I was like, oh, all these people, all these directors are like, they're supporting one another. Good stuff.
Yeah. Then I guess the first surprise of the evening, it won Best Original Screenplay. I honestly didn't see that coming. Purely because it's like getting translated from Korean. Obviously, it's not going to be as nice as when it's in Korean, but I guess it obviously won over the writers or the Academy to get that screenplay nod, which I guess was kind of a tight category, or one of the more interesting categories of the night, original screenplay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like if they handed like if they handed the screenplay and it's translated right, and you're afraid of it losing some of the minutia, I guess, like being translated to English. I would say that Parasite doesn't really, because I feel like as a film, a lot of its humor is like very understandable worldwide, and that's kind of why it works, I guess. You know what I mean? Like there's not really super specific like humor that everyone else wouldn't be able to read on the paper. Yeah.
I guess we'll move on from that to the other early surprise, Jojo Rabbit winning for Best Adapted Screenplay. Definitely did well. To be fair, I believe the BAFTAs gave it Best Adapted Screenplay pretty recently. But to me, that was a huge surprise that picked it up. Of course, I'm a big fan of Jojo Rabbit, but I didn't expect it to pick up that award.
I wasn't that shocked because like I felt like I would have put it at Jojo at a 50-50 for anything, because even the Scarlett Johansson stuff, because anytime I look online and look at like film Twitter, quote unquote film Twitter, right? Yeah. I feel like a lot of them hate the movie, but also a lot of them love the movie. So so I always felt like that would be the same effect, I guess, for the vote. Like I feel like a lot of people, I guess, voting would have hated Jojo Rabbit, and a lot of people would have loved it. Because that seems to be the general consensus. You look at all the reviews have always been like 10 out of 10, love it, amazing. All the ones are like 2 out of 10, fucking hate it, you know. So I wasn't that surprised. I was just like, oh, it's a very polarizing movie, but it is based on something, and like what it was either between that, I guess, or Little Women. But of course, I would have rather Little Women, but I haven't seen Jojo.
Yeah. But you know, Little Women too hard to comprehend. Timelines jumping
all these damn timelines. Fuck. Yeah, no.
I need a scorecard to keep track of where.
Yeah. Need someone to pop up down the bottom and let me know.
Yeah. Little time date thing at the bottom. Were there any other big surprises to you? But I think a lot of obviously the 4 acting categories went the way that everybody expected them to go. Joaquin Phoenix winning for Best Actor, Renee Zellweger winning for Best Actress, Brad Pitt winning for Best Supporting Actor, and Laura Dern for winning Best Supporting Actress. Yeah. Any of these prizes?
No, I was kind of annoyed that Irishman didn't win visual effects, actually.
I wasn't. But yeah, of course, they went to 1917, which I guess surprising, but I guess it's one of those more subtle than any other, I guess. Less in your face than every other one. Yeah.
But no, I don't think there was anything else that really stands out. Everything else kind of either went. But I mean, the only award that was really going to tip in a direction to piss most people off, including myself, was obviously Todd Phillips winning director or Joker winning Best Picture. Like, it doesn't matter what else won other than that. I would have just been like, oh, it was a good show. That's why at the end of the day, I'm walking away. I'm like, not only did Joker not win stuff that I didn't want it to win, but Parasite won a bunch of shit. Fucking great show. Good show, Oscars. Great job. Yeah. Smash.
I think they got it right for the most part.
They got it right for once, you know? That's as I tweeted out before, the John Wick. I'm thinking I'm back. I'm like, I'll look forward to next year's Oscars and then they'll fucking screw it up and I'll be like, fuck.
Yeah. How'd you feel about the show overall? Obviously, we got the opening number with Janelle Monáe doing.
That was fantastic.
Great performance, I thought.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, a really interesting performance. Obviously, Billy Porter in there as well. Interesting getting people in the crowd to sing along. That's always good. Well, either go either way.
That was fun. Most people, I like how Brad Pitt was having a go and everyone else in the front row was having a go. The only part weird about that whole thing was that they had Midsummer costumes up there. Midsummer wasn't nominated for a single thing, so.
Well, they had like Dolomite costumes as well, so.
I guess just fucking doing what they need to do to get the films that weren't nominated on stage, but it just made me remember that Florence Pugh was snubbed. So, other than that, was good. I guess, I mean, I enjoyed the only parts I didn't like. I didn't think Chris Rock and Steve Martin's bit was funny. I didn't really enjoy their back and forth, and I think that's it. I think that's the only like segment, like hosty part. Oh, and Renee Zellweger's speech was gibberish.
Yeah,
I didn't understand anything she was talking about. Like, I literally was like, "What are you talking about?" I have no idea.
Yeah,
they're the only two things that stand out to me that I did like.
But yeah, how do you? Well, I think obviously there was a presenter thing that they did throughout the night, which made you go even more than anything they did last year. They need a host for the show if they're going to do it that way. If you're not going to have like a voiceover guy come out and say, now presenting blah, blah, blah.
I didn't mind it because it allowed them to get like more people in people's eyes. Like, and I guess because a lot of people that are watching the Oscars, of course, like sometimes you're just excited to see like someone that you really like. So of course, like they had, what's that? How do you say her last name?
Feldstein.
Bernie Feldstein. Yeah, right. She's up there for 2 seconds or bit more or whatever to introduce someone, but even for that short period of time you're like, oh cool, it's the girl from Booksmart on stage, you know, like it was just, it was a good way to share the spotlight. I felt, you know, like, oh, there's her, like Kelly Marie Tran had a short bit as well, and I was like, fuck yeah, Kelly Marie Tran has more lines here than she had in Rise of Skywalker. How awesome is that?
She didn't. She had 2
How
lines.
awesome is that? How awesome
I've seen that joke constantly on Twitter and it's making me upset.
How good is it? She had more lines.
She did.
She had more lines. Go count them.
I mean, she probably per minute. She did.
She looks happier.
She did look happier. She was having a good time hanging out with Questlove.
She was having a great time.
But yeah,
looking forward to her and Knives Out too.
Yeah,
that's not confirmed to anyone. That's a joke. But I hope it's true.
But then you had 4 of the best nominated songs get no introduction. They just cut to something and then they started going into the song, which I thought was a weird choice. Why? No. If you're going to have all these presenters, why don't you have one guy come out and present whoever's coming out and sing the song? Like, introduce who it is.
I guess, but I mean...
Especially after you set it up with the first song with Josh Gad coming out to introduce Idina Menzel and all the other people who portray Elsa. I know they specifically did that because obviously they were explaining why performance was so important.
Why. Yeah, which by the way, I thought that was a great idea and performance. Having all the different actresses do the thing. I guess I didn't notice because they did visually show it on stage most of the time. Like there was that one time the camera went backstage and like stopped at a shelf with the Toy Story thing on it or whatever else. There was another time where it panned to like a book or something that had the title of the song like next to something. So like most of the time I feel like they visually was showing me. So I guess I never thought about it. And also I just knew what they all were. So maybe my brain was just like not bothered because I just knew. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I feel like the constant jokes about obviously the female directors and the Oscars being so white and it's not being diverse, the constant references to it doesn't help the show, I don't think. Especially when it's like several years in a row.
Depends if they're funny or not.
You can't be poking at yourself and not change and then it'd still be funny, I don't think. It's just more noticeable. It's like, oh, you're kind of just doing this joke to make us feel better about you not having any diverse people on the stage.
Yeah, I don't know if I think it's just the actors doing it themselves though. Like, for instance, like Mark Ruffalo coming out and like calling out the fact that like a bunch of the documentaries were directed by females. Like, there was obviously a joke that the main films didn't have female directors or whatever else. And then you compare that to like, like that was a non-laugh one to me, even though some people in the audience laughed. I was like, yeah, okay. But I did laugh at when Oscar Isaac came out and like what's the fuck? Who was he with? Penelope? Yeah.
Penelope.
Made a joke. Wasn't he with Penelope Cruz?
No, Penelope Cruz did it. She was on her own, I think.
Who was he with? I can't even remember now. Let's refocus on him.
Yeah.
He comes out, he does the whole bit, and then whoever it was like, oh, I can hold an Oscar now or something like that. And he's like, yeah, try and tell me the Oscar's not too white now. Like that one I found was funny. So I guess it just depends what the joke is and if it works, you know, because if it's a good joke, you won't think about it. Whereas if it's a bad joke, you'll notice like, ugh, you know, we get it. But also, for instance, like Natalie Portman doing the thing with her dress where she got it like all the snub female directors' names embroidered into down the side of her dress. That was good. That's quite funny.
That's cool, subtle story that is probably going to catch attention, that kind of thing. Any other presenters that caught your eye? I thought Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph were very funny.
I love that shit. I guess that's one of those things where I'm like, I love that, but I see people on Twitter saying it's like cringy. I'm like, man, this is the humor that you expect at Academy Awards.
This is like mainstream humor.
Yeah, most of the time they're playing. They want to make the people there laugh, and they are, so it's working. You know, like just because you're not laughing at home, whatever. If they're seeing their peers in the audience laughing at them, they don't care. They're having a time. You know, you got to remember that the Oscars, although it is a TV show, it is at its heart before it was televised, actually just an event for people to be awarded awards. You know, so they're playing to their thing there. At first, I would also like to shout out. At first, I thought the cat thing was going to go horribly, but I did start laughing at the part where they started smacking the mic. I thought that was funny. I did think that was funny.
I mean, Cats has kind of become a dead cat by the end of this award season. And
I'll pay them out. I'll pay them out the fact that they took shots at their own movie too. The Cats Visual Effects Award they gave them to present.
I mean, those two are more than happy to make fun of their themselves, I think. So.
Yeah. So that was good.
Yeah. I mean, they looked good
shout
on
out
stage.
to Ray Romano as well. Ray Romano doing the whole... Joe Pesci walked up to me and told me to get the fuck out of his seat. you can't swear here. They're going to bleep it. I'm like, no, they didn't bleep it. They went fast enough. I heard that F word.
Yeah. And then the other one I want to mention, Olivia Colman, who came out and made all very sexual innuendo jokes. That was amusing. Any speeches that stood out to you? I like Brad Pitt's speech. Apparently he's been ghostwritten, but I think it was still delivered very well. And obviously, Joaquin Phoenix sentiments, I guess, was good. Maybe not the delivery so much, which pretty much indicted every single person who's drinking milk on Earth.
Not really. Most people. I mean, I enjoyed Brad Pitt's. I thought it was funny. His joke about basically having Quentin make a movie about the impeachment, but having the adults do the right thing was quite funny. Obviously, riding Leo's coattails. That's funny. Joaquin Phoenix was good, but at the same time, I've seen his other speeches. He's been doing this whole fucking entire award season, and I swear every different time I see him getting up there winning an award, and by the time it reached the Oscars, like he's sitting there, and by the time it read his name, I could tell before he got on stage, I'm like, he's about to say some shit. Like he looked like,
yeah,
you know, like they're like Joaquin Phoenix. He's just like serious face on, marches up there. Thanks for the award. All right, here I'm going to tell you some fucking shit. Like,
yeah,
he's on a thing at the moment. I mean, it's quite interesting to watch because he's like, I don't know, like this whole award season, he's like making sure to use his platform to talk about stuff that's important to him lately, and he's been going to those rallies with Jane Fonda recently as well. So he's on like he did that whole thing where he said he's stopped using private jets recently, and because carbon emissions and all that sort of stuff, and he was like begging other celebrities to do the same. So I feel like he's in like I wouldn't say a midlife crisis because that makes it sound like it's bad, but he's obviously in a pit of wanting to change his personal life towards being better in some factors, which of course is good. And I don't mind when actors get up there and do that sort of stuff anyway, especially there was one year with there was a couple of years I think with both the best actor and best actress gave like quote unquote political speeches, but I think it's good. I mean, Oscars is watched by a bunch of people. It's the biggest platform those actors are going to have to ever talk about something that means something to them, and go for it. I mean, there's no rules. Like you've got X amount of time to give a speech. Either use it to thank God and your parents and whoever the fuck else, like everyone else does, or use your 2 minutes or whatever to say what you want to say. You know, like I don't feel like there should be restrictions. Like you always see people like, oh, I turned it off, like fucking talking about politics, all this stuff. I'm like, I mean, it's what they care about. Do what you need to. They're using their platform and their privilege to do something. Go for God.
Yeah. Overall, great night. Lots of good winners. Very happy. Surely it won't continue next year, but we can live on the high of this Oscars night for a while, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah. Also,
bless the holy Wi-Fi.
Bless the holy Wi-Fi. We'll get into that in a sec. I do want to shout out the Indie Film Spirit Awards. They were a lot of fun to watch. I watched a bunch of clips, obviously hosted by Aubrey Plaza had a great opening. Great speeches by the Safdie brothers and Adam Sandler, and the farewell one.
The Safdie brothers speeches would have been funnier if you'd seen Uncut Gems, because they're basically doing their movie. They're just fucking talking over one another in their entire speech. Yeah.
But yeah, go back, watch all the little bits and pieces. I think it was a great show.
Adam Sandler's speech was amazing.
Clips. Yeah, Sandler's speech, amazing. Very disappointed in hindsight.
I rewatched it. I actually just rewatched it before we started recording for some reason.
Yeah. I rewatched the gay choir singing Laura Dern. That was a good bit.
Laura Dern. She stands up. It's fucking great. I want to go to Spirit Awards. It just looked like a chill, great event.
It is. It's just on a beach, apparently. The day before the Oscars.
Love it.
So, go back.
I just remember one thing I want to shout out. I'm going to remember it straight after we finish recording, but I just remember one other thing I want to point out for the Oscars is shout out to Shia LaBeouf for bringing up, I was trying to find his name real quick, but his co-star from the Peanut Butter Falcon. Got it here. Zach Gotteskin. Because apparently behind the scenes they asked Shia to present an award, and he said yes, only if he could bring him up. So everyone gives Shia shit because of course he does a lot of weird stuff, which I agree. Yes, he does weird stuff, but I think in general he seems to be a good dude who does lots of silly things and says silly things at times and whatever.
I think he's kind of turned a corner recently. Of course, recently he went to mental health facility for a while and was in there. And if you've heard discussions with him since he's
always
very
talked
passionate.
about that stuff. Yeah.
No, but he's very passionate about the craft of acting and that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
meaning so much. Again, the Hollywood Roundtable, they did Actor One. He was on that with.
Did
a
you
bunch of
see
other
the one he
people.
did with Kristen Stewart? Like just the two of them?
Kristen Stewart. Yeah, that was
that
interesting.
one was
Just
good.
Yeah, two interesting personalities together. So yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. Obviously Zach struggled with opening the envelope, and reading stuff, and then Shia LaBeouf got the name of the film wrong.
Yeah, but I enjoyed that whole thing because I was like, I enjoyed how like you could tell he was struggling, but Shia didn't like just snatch it off him or whatever. Like he helped him and like he had to laugh with people, but like not like laughing at him, but being like, it's okay, guys. Like he's like, we're just he's like laughing at the situation, but like it didn't seem, obviously it's not like laughing in a mean sort of way. And then at the end he let him have time. I just thought that was a nice moment. If that's actually the story, like he was like, which I assume it is. I find it hard to believe the Academy was like, yeah, bring up the Peanut Bell the Falcon co-star. like like so that was nice. Yeah, just Shia. Yeah. Good on you, Shia.
Yeah, it's a great time. All right, let's move into what did we end up watching. Dylan, what did we end up watching?
Parasite, Holy Wi-Fi. Oscar Academy Award winning 2020 movie Best Picture.
역시
그동안 미술쌤도 여러 명 바꿔가면서 해봤는데요.
제가 사람 하나가 휙 하고 떠올랐는데
잠깐. 제시카, 외동딸, 일리노이, 시카고. 과선배는 김치모, 그는 이사촌.
내 착하다니까
진짜 니가 착한 거지.
I'm deadly serious.
근데 지금 진짜로 이상한 게 온 것 같아.
Yes, the 2019 film directed by Bong Joon-ho, starring Song Kang-ho, Lee Kyun, Cho Yi-jung, Choi Woo-shik, Park So-dam, Lee Jong-un, and Chung Hung-jin. Probably butchered all those. All unemployed, Ki-tak and his family take peculiar interest in the wealthy and glamorous Parks as they integrate themselves into their lives and get entangled into an unexpected incident. Obviously, this one would be a long anticipated film that you've been wanting to watch. It came out July last year. It's been playing in Brisbane cinemas like every single week since. I believe I talked about it, I think around October. I finally went and watched it like 20 weeks after, something like that. After its initial release, I'm like, this is a movie everybody is talking about. I think it just released in the US and they had like a huge splash. Everybody was talking about it. Went to see it, talked about it. You had to wait until it came out on Blu-ray, which it just did recently, or on digital, if you want to buy it digitally. Shout out to Madman. Just for whatever reason. Dylan, was it worth the wait?
I was going to say no because I wish I could have seen it. Yeah, it was worth the wait, but I wish I didn't have to wait, obviously. That's why it's... no, I really, really love the movie. Obviously, if I'd seen this last year, this would have been in my top 3 easily. Like, I haven't put much thought into how I would go about shuffling that because I don't want to put the energy into that because it's going to hurt my head trying to decide that, but it will definitely be top 3. I really, really loved it. But, I've watched nearly all of his movies, apart from like really early ones, and I love all of them. So that's why I was looking forward to this. I think this is easily his best movie because it's the most, I guess it's just the best crafted. Like there's no weak element to it. Like there's not one thing where like, oh, that could have been, like whatever, like, oh, this actor was off or, like this. There's not to say he has like any of these movies stand out as particularly bad, but other things I can point out like, oh, this thing, whatever. It's funny. It's tense. It shockingly goes in directions you wouldn't think it would go. It also presents quite an interesting. I would call it obvious. I think it's very obvious what it's trying to say about the class system, obviously, but also I feel like that was super obvious to me because he's done that in his movies before. Like a lot of his movies, like especially Snowpiercer is about class system. So maybe I went into it like and very much automatically picked up on very like similar themes that he's told in his movies before. Because if in case you don't know, Snowpiercer is literally like it's a fucking train where the poor live at the back and the rich live at the front. Like that movie was very, very like open with what it's trying to say, and I guess this one's a little bit more subtle, but I would still call it not particularly subtle about what it's trying to say. But yeah, I laughed out loud. I was shocked by the end of it. All the actors are fantastic in it. Shot surprisingly well, cinematography wise. You see some of the behind the scenes stuff and the special effect use in this movie. I also think is like quite fantastic. How like subtle the special effects is used to create a lot of the backgrounds and whatever else, like the blue screens around the house and the streets and stuff like that. They've gone to create the movie and the way it looks. So, you know, I loved it, and I'm hoping one of those black and white screenings can show up locally when I'm not having to do something at the same time it's on, and I would happily go watch it in the black and white version at cinema, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. So I talked about it back on episode 48, so not that long ago. But again, I said I think it was number 2 on my list for best films of 2019. I rewatched it last night. Still amazing. Still works on a second viewing, even though you know what's coming. Just obviously, it's a hell of a ride. It's just, especially the first time, obviously, you didn't see what was coming, and then for the inciting incident, I guess, which comes like an hour in. So I mean, there's a lot of setup and like building towards that point, and then the film goes in a completely different direction in like the second hour, I think. So, amazing film, masterpiece. It's worthy of the Oscar. I think we're going to talk about spoilers now because I want to talk about spoilers. But was there anything else you wanted to
time? No, there's nothing else. I mean, it's hard. Yeah, spoilers.
Cast across the board, impressive. Even though it's hard to tell with, like, obviously in a foreign language how great the acting is. But I think
I would say no, not for this one, because as I was saying about the screenplay, I think a lot of the jokes are very easy to understand and tell. Like particularly like the part where I don't know if that's a spoiler. There's one part where someone's doing a North Korean accent, and that joke works. That works worldwide, so it's fine. You know, not. Sometimes I feel like obviously with foreign films, like subtleties in like a telling of a joke with the accent, and because you're reading subtitles at the same time, you can lose it. But like that joke works perfectly fine because you can hear it through the tone while reading the subtitles. You know.
Yeah. So spoilers for Parasite. Again, spoilers for Parasite. Did you see the big reveal coming? Clearly not. Probably not.
No, I didn't know anything of the movie. Somehow I dodged spoilers for so long. I mean, I had it muted on Twitter, basically, so I was trying to dodge as much as I could for a long period of time, and I somehow managed to do it, which was quite surprising considering how long I had to wait. So I knew nothing. Like, I knew it was about a family, obviously, but that's all I knew going in. I never even watched the trailer.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't watch anything. That's what I'm saying. Like, they were like, "Oh, it's Bong Joon-ho's new movie." Okay. Like, I'd seen the poster. That's all I knew about the movie. I didn't watch the trailer because I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch it. And I didn't feel like I needed to watch the trailer because, like, it wasn't Star Wars. We weren't discussing the trailer for it, so I just didn't bother watching it. So, like, I literally went in knowing nothing, and I was like, whoa, okay, like, yeah, there's a fucking hidden passage right here going down. Oh, fuck, someone's going to die now. Oh, okay, well, shit's hitting the fan. I did watch the trailer after, though. And I'm glad I didn't watch the trailer because the trailer teases violence by showing like blood splatters going and hitting something, and like it teases certain elements. So yeah, I definitely feel like not having even watched the trailer going in, I got like the ultimate what the fuck is going on experience. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the movie is definitely split in two halves. I think it's before that moment and then after that moment of them discovering the previous housekeeper's husband living under the stairs. I still enjoy that first half. I think it works as like a heist, I guess, film where they're slowly inserting themselves into this household to earn money from the Park family.
Yeah.
Just them constantly conning their way into.
Well, it's funny because that's where, like, I guess a lot of the debate comes about the movie in that first half, because you're like, I don't know, like, I personally didn't feel like I didn't treat them as bad guys watching the movie in that part, you know? Yeah. I feel like the secret to this movie and the reason it's so good is because the family's never set up to be bad guys, even though what they're doing is obviously wrong. And it's because they're not doing anything super cruel or sadistic. They're literally just conning their way into jobs and then doing the work, even though they're lying about certain things. But they are doing work. They're conning their way into jobs. Somewhat, of course, that none of them have the degrees, but it's fine. And then I think the secret that makes it work, though, is they never make the what's the actual family's name here? The Park family. They never make the rich family. They never make any of them like super evil or horrible either. So it's like you never like hating them and rooting for the other family. I think that's like a key element in what makes the movie work, even though at times they play around and tease certain things, like the idea of the husband cheating and the mother being a bit of a drunk, like and whatever else. Like they tease certain things, but they never like go like, look, this person, the husband's cheating all the time, bad. Like this is.
I didn't get the impression he was cheating. I just think
they have one scene in the car where they discuss it, and when they're in the limo, and they hint at the idea about like him taking him somewhere to do something, and they like I felt like that was purposely put there to imply or tease around the idea of like to put the possibility in your head, but the husband of course says no, but it's like I don't know, the look on his face was more to me more of a like, I don't trust you enough to answer that, like no. But that's what I'm saying, they play around with ideas, but they never go, he is doing this or she is a big drunk. But they have the one scene where she's like asleep with a glass in front of her when they first show up. You know?
And
like that's what I'm saying. They give little things, but they're never like full in your face. Like she's bad because of this, he's bad because of this, blah 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 blah. So you never really hate either family. So then by the time the third element comes in, by being the what would you call it? The ex at this point, housekeeper and her husband. By the time they show them in their third element, then they become who you're rooting against. You know, in that whole scene,
kind of,
You're not rooting against the other family. Yeah,
I mean, when that happened, it was like super intense. It's like, and they get the upper hand, and like that scene of them like having to stand, like kneel on the ground and hold their hands up in the air and getting videoed and that kind of thing was super.
I love that part where she does the whole speech. I am today in North Korea. These family, the last new bomb. I was like, this is funny.
But yeah, and then that whole sequence of them coming home and them trying to hide everything, super intense, and they could be them hiding underneath the table the entire time where they're having foreplay on the couch.
Yep. Bit awkward.
Very awkward.
Very awkward.
And then obviously they talk about them as well while they're there. The smell thing comes up.
The smell thing, which is super important towards the end. And then the other thing that's super important is always the mention of the line, even though the definition of what the line is never like particularly laid out. It's just this thing that apparently the husband and wife know. They're like, he never crosses the line. What is the line? You know, like I guess you could come up with your own example of like, oh, he meant like he could say something or be too forward about something or whatever else. But it's like, they never really give you a.
Yeah, they're not friends. They're just, he's your employee, and that was like, I think the line.
Yeah, but it's like but also I guess I saw this is my idea, so I'll give credit to some random person I saw on Twitter point this out. But it's like the line could also be used as like a constant, because it's like a constant throughout the movie, this mention of a line, and then by the end of the movie, like the line is kind of like this separation between the rich and poor. Like the line is, I'm on the rich side and you're on the poor side. That's the line. You know, that's like one way of looking at it. Like sort of putting it that way. Yeah.
yeah, so then the other sequence is obviously this massive rainfall that is the cause of everything terrible, resulting in their sub-basement apartment or home being completely flooded. That was shot really well. I thought,
Yeah.
How they did that, I don't know. Well, just flooded with a bunch of water and then have the toilet spray all over the place and crazy.
Yeah.
Especially
The daughter's just sitting
juxtaposed
on
to
the toilet.
yeah, just juxtaposed to the rich family, and then them later saying, "Oh, the rain is such a blessing," and that kind of thing. And then for obviously all the again, that's a class thing. And then obviously you have that final birthday party.
Yeah. I was going to say with the rain thing, it's also interesting because like the rich family literally lives on top of a hill. Like, they live on top of a hill. You can always see they have to climb up that like steep way to get them. They then have to go up several stairs to get in there, and then you have to go upstairs to get inside the house. And then they're like sitting inside that house watching the rain come down like, oh, beautifully. And then the family had to run down the hill, down more steps, down another hill to get to like their basement. And it's like to get into the basement, they have to go down more. So it's like, I always felt like the semblance of like hill, like they literally have a lot of like height into like separating the families. And
almost below ground. And that's like, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, this all could have been avoided if the kid didn't try and smash their heads in with a rock.
Yes. And it's funny, that rock, because that's like given at the start of the movie and you're like, what is this rock? And then it's like, it doesn't become particularly important till the end, obviously. The ending of the movie, I've seen, to me, I don't want to skip, well, I'm kind of skipping far ahead. Of course, it's all shocking when they come out and people get killed and whatever else. And then like, I guess the other like key thing in that, the ending scene I find is that when, his daughter is, of course, like stabbed and lying on the ground, and the father is lying over him. The other guy, the father of the rich family, is like asking for the keys, obviously, but he's not like, here, grab your daughter, get in the car, we'll all go to the hospital. He's just like, give me the keys, drive my son, this. It's zero care factor for the his
anybody else.
Well, he doesn't know his daughter at that point, but he has zero care factor for this older. Yeah, his employee has absolutely zero care factor because it's across that line, that figurative line, I guess. And that's the part, because I guess I've seen a lot of people online like not understanding why he snaps, and it's like, to me it's very simple. Like all these comments about smell and line and talking shit like subtly about poorer people and whatever else, and then in that final moment, his daughter's literally lying there dying, and he's just like, "Fucking drive me," like. And he just snaps. It's one of those things. It's like there's not really a big. You're not supposed to like particularly understand it. It's explained as he snapped because of like everything beforehand, obviously.
Well, and his wife had also been like poking at him throughout the entire film, like saying he would scurry away and that kind of stuff. So that finally snapped her,
pushed him
over the edge.
Yeah.
Very surprising. Yeah.
And then I was going to say the other thing that I find people have weird, I've read people get confused about online, is the idea of the sun. What you see the sun doing is actually what's going to happen. That's load of bullshit. Like, no, that's him dreaming. It's a daydream. If the big difference is if the camera cut away during the dream, then to me that would be presenting the idea of like that's either what did happen or that's a possibility of what could happen. But it doesn't cut away during the dream. It cuts away when the camera comes out of the dream and comes back to the kid during present day with him being like, I'm going to make this happen. But it's like the chances of him doing that are like 0.1% at this stage. You know what I mean? Like, you
can choose to believe that's what happened, but I don't think, especially given he's got serious brain damage and has at this point no formal education or any job prospects.
Yeah, I thought the end of the movie was kind of I thought the end of the movie was literally like the camera pans back down and you're supposed to think like that ain't happening. Like the end of the movie isn't a happy one at all, or even one full of hope. It's literally like the fire was trapped there. Like that's it, full stop, end of story.
Yeah, kind of a sad existence. I guess that's probably not the best plan to try and get him back. I mean, you could probably like break into the house and kidnap him way, I guess, would be...
I mean, I don't know if that's a good plan
Easier way?
either, but
I mean, it would be faster and more likely to...
yeah.
I mean, high risk, high reward, but...
His whole plan of like, I'll get a degree and buy the house or whatever, it's a very like Hollywood sounding, ridiculous, idealistic plan.
And his dad not going to get caught in that entire period of time in which he's sneaking into this other family's house.
I mean, the other dude managed to live there 4 years, no problem.
Yeah, I guess. But he had his wife there.
Wife helping somewhat, I guess. Yeah.
Helping, getting food down. I guess the other thing is a bit weird that his dad like does this message every single night, and it is super wordy. Would you just do something a bit shorter?
What else? What else you got to do though? Like,
yeah, that's true.
You're not out of time. You've got all the time in the world to do a long message.
Yeah. It's just very lucky that he saw the message, I guess. But yeah, great film. Just love it to bits. I think it's great. I don't know if black and white will improve it, but we'd like to find out.
I don't think he said it was going to improve. I mean, black and white doesn't really improve. It's just let you focus, I guess, more potentially.
Yeah. All right, that brings us to the end of this. What do you want to watch? You can go to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter to find our social links, or you can check out the show notes. We've got them all there. You can find us on Twitter at ExplosionPod. You can, of course, go to Explosion Network for all our reviews, podcasts, videos, everything. It's all there. If you want to help us out, leave us a review either on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser. Tell a friend about the show. Send us a tweet. We like reading them. Or if you want to help us out financially, Ko-fi.com/explosion. You can leave us a couple of bucks. It all goes towards keeping things running here, keeping these podcasts going up every couple of weeks. Thank you very much for listening. And until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.
Ash, I forgot to mention that Ryan Johnson had poor cufflinks. How cool is that shit?